Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Intan Aulia Sari and my study number is 19 and I am from 4A class in Department of English Education, State Islamic University, Syarif Hidayatullah, Jakarta. And today I want to review the 10th articles that I've read in this semester. Okay, the first, I will give you a brief explanation about the articles, and the next, I will tell you the connection between one article and the other's article. The first article is Improving Indonesian Students' Rhetoric Skills Through Suggestipedia by Suprapto and Rio Kurniawan. The purpose of this article is to improve student rhetoric of A class from Indonesian Education Faculty, Teacher Training and Education, University of Bengkulu, the academic year 2018 until 2019 through Suggestipedia. And the results of this article is students' activity showed positive change, were more interested and enthusiastic in learning speaking or rhetoric skills using the Suggestipedia method. And Suggestipedia method can improve speaking or rhetoric skills. This can be seen in the value and completeness of students' learning that has increased. Okay, the next article is Suggestipedia method on improving students' reading comprehension by Febriana Setiadeni, Syamsul Bahri, and Dian Fajrina. The purpose of this article is to find out whether Suggestipedia method improves students' reading comprehension and was conducted at SMPN 8 Banda Aceh. And the result of this article is the teacher can be used this method as an alternative method in teaching reading skill. In the Suggestipedia method, the teacher should be more creative to design the classroom atmosphere to make the students attract in reading text. And the next article is a comparative study on the effectiveness of using direct and audiovisual method for enhancing students' listening comprehension by Faidatul Atiyah and Lydiatul Izzah. And the purpose of this article is to compare experimentally direct and audiovisual method in terms of their effectiveness in students' listening comprehension. Another purpose of the study is to help the teachers to find out the most effective way of teaching listening in the classroom. And the result of this article is the audiovisual method performed significantly higher than the direct method. These results can be shown through the obtained scores of the research, which means that audiovisual more effective or favorable. And the next article is using communicative games in improving students' speaking skills by Ratna Sari Dewi, Umi Kulsum, and Ari Armadi. And the purpose of this article is to know whether communicative games have an impact on teaching speaking skill and describe how communicative games give an influence on speaking skills of students at junior high school in Jakarta, Indonesia. And the result is using communicative game as means of instruction improve the students' achievement and results of speaking skill. Students enjoyed the lesson and got more motivation, interest, and confidence through their learning. Therefore, communicative games should be applied as design activities in teaching speaking skills. And the next article is The Teaching of Reading in Senior Secondary School by Muhammad Sofyan Adi Pranata. The purpose of this article is to help students get a purpose of reading, focus on what they are learning, think actively as they read, monitor their comprehension, and review content and relate what they have learned to what they already know. And the result is, in order to apply the strategies effectively in instructional settings, teachers must have a clear understanding of the reading comprehension process and the natural reading strategies that commonly applied by our students. By knowing this, they can select and demonstrate appropriate reading strategies that their students need in reading the text. The next article is Psychological Impacts of Students on Online Learning During the Pandemic COVID-19 by Andi Wahyu Irawan, Dwi Sona, and Martin Lestari. And the purpose of this article is to identify the impact of student psychology on online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the result of this article is the research findings shows that the psychological impact of students on online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, namely first, students are bored, and the second is considerable anxiety, and the third is emotional disturbance. Students' mental health is greatly affected when faced with a public health emergency, and they need attention, help, and support from the community, family, and tertiary institutions. And the next article is listening journals for extensive listening practice of EFL students at Andalas University by Wulan Fauzan. The purpose of this article is to evaluate how useful is listening journal to improve students' extensive listening practice. The activity is to train students to apply metacognitive strategies. Students practice self-evaluation to determine each performance after involving in the activities. And the result of this article is that extensive listening helped them to improve their vocabulary and understand the meaning from many different sources. Students have the habits of reflecting their learning help them improve their listening, especially in the area of improvement in the vocabulary and pronunciation. The next article is an approach in teaching writing skills. Does it offer a new insight in enhancing students' writing ability by Nidia Indrila and Dia Setiwati. The purpose of this article is to illustrate the effectiveness of the scientific approach in the teaching writing of recount text. And the result of this article is there is a significant difference in the students' achievement in writing of recount text among the students taught by using the scientific approach and those taught by using the conventional approach to the 8th grade students of Radian School. And the use of the scientific approach was more effective than that of the scientific approach in teaching writing of recount text. The next article is Communicative Language Teaching, Changing Students' Speaking Skills by Juni Bayu Saputra and Margianto. The purpose of this article is to solve the speaking problem faced by students in one of the higher school of teacher training and education in Central Lampung by using communicative language teaching. The result of this article, most of students were interested in learning speaking through CLT and their self-confidence to express their ideas in speaking activity inside classroom. Most of them could minimize their fears and shy to speak. The frequency and percentage of student speaking skill were increased well in each cycles. In addition, CLT could motivate the students to be active and had a great participation in speaking activity during teaching and learning process in classroom. And the last article is the strategy of teaching speaking through culture by Suranto, Aceng Rahmat, and Nurudin. The purpose of this article is to investigate deeply the strategy of teaching speaking through culture. And the result of this article is the teacher in implementing learning activities combine direct methods and indirect methods, which in practice uses several strategies. The use of these strategies is adapted to the stage, situation, and condition and subject matter. In general, the approach refers to assumptions about the nature of language, how language learning is carried out. Through three stages of cultural knowledge, cultural awareness, and cultural competence, the teachers successfully applied it in the teaching process. Okay, the relation of one article to another is that many of the methods of or strategies or techniques that can be used in teaching English to an EFL students or English foreign language students, and each methods or strategies or techniques has its own impact or outcome in the learning process. Okay, that's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye.